But once you have pheromone secretion from plants, just take note that your farm is sick. Anyway, your plants are sick. You cannot manage soil just like chemistry, like a chemistry set. Instead, you're managing a whole complex ecosystem. Your job is not to feed the plants, it's to create a medium for the soil food web to thrive. Hello, Samson here. Welcome to today's segment of book reviews. Today we are focusing on building soil naturally. This is by Phil Nauta. So it's a comprehensive guide to the art and science of creating healthy and living soil. So it actually puts together decades of research from like biological farming movements, from Albrecht's system of mineral balancing, and from Reams methods of actually testing soil, and practical organic gardening experiences, which are just put together into like this comprehensive volume. I have been having troubles with my voice simply because I had a flu at some point which got healed, and then it's like just affecting my voice. If you've got any recommendations for whatever I could do to just get myself running properly, I would appreciate that in the comments. But there are 5 major lessons that are there to share in today's segment of book review, so stick around, diving right into it. The first lesson is that soil is a living ecosystem, not just dirt. In most of the book reviews, we've been talking about soil being alive and soil being what it is. So Nauta makes it clear that soil is not just an inert medium for holding plants. It's a living ecosystem because there is a lot of organisms that gets to live in there: microbes, bacteria, protozoa, fungi, and 99 others, which become what he refers to as the soil food web. So he says what I quote, that without a vast array of soil food web players, we wouldn't have soil in the actual sense. They also work to protect plants from feeding predators, and both in the soil and above the ground. So some of them get to eat dead things, and some of them eat things which are living, and eventually they get to die themselves. All of this then contributes to the organic matter and mineral content of our world. The actual takeaway from this is the fact that you cannot manage soil just like chemistry, like a chemistry set. Instead, you're managing a whole complex ecosystem. Your job is not to feed the plants, it's to create a medium for the soil food web to thrive. The second lesson he brings out is that nutrient balance matters more than nutrient quantity. We've been told from conventional agriculture to focus on NPK, the natural fertilizers that we've had and developed. This is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. But Nauta, actually drawing on the work of Dr. William Albrecht and Dr. Reams, shows that the ratios of nutrients actually matter more than what the total amounts are. And there are some numbers that they get to share which talks about the ideal soil which is supposed to be there in the soil. So according to Albrecht, 60 to 75% should be calcium, and magnesium should only be about 7 to 15%. Potassium maybe about 2 to 5%. Sodium in the actual sense about 0.5 to 3%, and hydrogen should be in the ranges of 10 to about 15%. Now, when these ratios get to balance, plants can't access nutrients even if they are present in the soil. So, for example, a soil with about 75% of calcium, but with a ratio of 3 to 1 of calcium to magnesium ratio, will have compaction problems, greasy weeds, and unhealthy plants. So what he says, I'm quoting, is that the lack of nutrient is not the problem in the soils. Nutrients are there. The problem is that they are out of balance, and the soil food web is not healthy enough and diverse for the exact quantity and value that is needed in the plants. So when we work around the ratios and the balancing of the quantity of the nutrients, then we get to solve that problem. The third lesson is the fact that weeds are messengers and not enemies. In one of the reviews, I think we talked about weeds being messengers and not enemies. This is like one of the even paradigm shifting sections of the book and the concept in there. So weeds do not just appear randomly because they grow in specific soil conditions and not just out of any random, out of balance kind of setup. They are nature's way of letting you know that there is something that is going on with your soil. And different weeds actually get to indicate different things. For example, greasy weeds, this could be like quick grass, telling you that there is a deficiency of calcium in your soil. Another one is like broad leaf weeds. These are plantain and dandelions. They get to tell you that phosphate to potash ratios are off balance. Weeds like succulent weeds, could be like parsley. These ones get to tell you that carbon is deficient in your soil. And there's things like burdock and chickweeds. You could just read the book if you want to understand all of these weeds. But he says that weeds heal the soil. So each weed can grow in a different medium of an imbalanced condition of a soil, and they work to bring together the soil into like being balanced, hence their appearance. So it is a common myth that healthy soil grows weeds equally as well as the desired crops that you're trying to grow. In reality, most of the really picky weeds get sick in balanced soil conditions. Once you work around your soil, you will not be able to see certain weeds show up. This is done without chemicals. Fourthly, compost is about biology, not just organic matter. Most gardeners and farmers think that compost is a way to add organic matter. There's some truth to that, quite right. And a lot of people actually get to think that compost is fertilizer in itself. Yes, there's some truth to that. However, the emphasis is on the real value of compost, which is the biology it contains, the microbes. So good compost is actually supposed to contain bacteria, fungi, protozoa, nematodes, which are going to be good. And your soil is going to be considered healthy because they have all of those components and elements in them. So he says that the way compost breaks down is through the action of microbes, earthworms, and insects, right? So their numbers multiply many times in a pile. And to me, he says, they are the number one reason for compost. So you just don't make compost anyhow. For most of us, getting that biology back in the soil is what is most important away from fertilizer. So compost gets to be a very big biological factor in there. Hence, the emphasis on composting being made. Don't just add compost to organic matter in the soil. Make sure that the compost is biologically active in order for you to contribute to the soil food web and to get to regenerate what is supposed to be regenerated in there. Number 5, and lastly, healthy plants don't get attacked by pests. Yes, we can argue this. Yes, we can battle this in practice and in theory. Let me explain. The ultimate lesson from the book is actually this one, that everything works together. Insects and diseases don't attack healthy plants. Let's settle with that. We've seen this in nature, and I think there is not so much an argument that could be put up because nature has got its own way of managing its ecosystem, living with different microorganisms, macroorganisms, and the whole ecosystem gets to function. If we learn it from nature, then it's something that's applicable even in organic agriculture. So pests get to attack sick plants with nutritional deficiencies and imbalances. So excess soluble nitrogen and high sugar levels could be a reason why we have a lot of diseases and pests in our plants. So he says that insects sense their surrounding with their antenna. So plants get to emit pheromones. So pheromones are like hormones that insects get to interpret as food for them. Not all plants get to emit pheromones. Only sick plants get to emit pheromones in the actual sense. So it turns out that only sick plants emit them in a manner which is seen as food for the pests. So once they see those, Healthy plants simply do not emit them as a signal. So insects don't see healthy plants as food because there are no pheromones for them. And the takeaway lastly here is that instead of controlling pests, focus on creating healthy soils, create a very stable and good food web in order for you not to have pests and diseases which are undesired. They are okay pests which get to actually work out for you in your garden, in your fields and everything. But once you have pheromone secretion from plants, just take note that your farm is sick. Anyway, your plants are sick in the actual sense. Yeah, but this was Building So Naturally by Phil Nauta. It's a very good read for permaculturists, market gardeners, anyone who wants to understand the science that is behind healthy soils. Very good read. Bulky, big, yes, but very good. You might just want to dive into it. So this is it from me. Till we meet in the next segment I am checking out.